Hello everybody, Rainbow Red Panda here, and today I just wanted to make a video recapping all of the stuff that I did, saw, experienced, all the things that happened at New York Comic Con this year. So this is the first year that I know of, at least, that it spilled over from the Javits Center. So usually it takes place at the Javits Center, the main convention, which is like the exhibitors and where they have all the like comic book booths where you go to buy, like, collectors would go there to get their gold and silver age fix, basically. Those were all in one building, like the very large building that they have the convention in. And then downstairs they have the different panels. And then if you go through a long hallway corridor area, you end up at Artist Alley. But Artist Alley is not in the same room as the actual con. You cannot access it directly. You have to like go through. It's kind of almost difficult to find Artist Alley if you've never been in the Javits Center. And so a lot of people unfortunately don't make it to Artist Alley. This is the first year that I've ever been to Artist Alley, but I knew where it was because I was at the first year that they did New York's Comic Con Special Edition, which is like a smaller version of New York Comic Con. In the beginning, it was just supposed to be for like the Artist Alley type of artists, but I think now it has even expanded where it's literally just like a little miniature con, which is unfortunate, but I mean, I get it. So this year I got to go to both the main con and the Artist Alley. I have not still been to any panels. I've never really been to panels at any convention, with the exception of the Anime Apocalypse event that I did, just because like I was hosting a panel. So that's the only experience of the panel I've ever had. I was supposed to go. Gerard Way had a young animal panel, and I really wanted to go. I had like requested off of work, and I was supposed to be able to go. And then I don't know, somehow they messed up my schedule. I was not able to go. I had to work. So I was devastated, but as long as I got there on Saturday. Everyone knows, talked about it in my last video, I believe. Saturday, Gerard Way was doing a signing at the DC booth. I was so excited. Like, I had been waiting literally at least a month. As soon as I found out he was going to be there, I knew it was going to happen. And then once they announced, the signings and all of that, like, I was ready. So I've game planned. So all last week, I spent time, I wrote him a letter because I knew that I wasn't going to get that much time with him. And that if I did, there was a good chance that my brain was going to not work and I wasn't going to be able to say what I wanted to say. So I wrote him a letter so that I would be prepared for that. But before I could get to Saturday, I had to go through Thursday and Friday. So Thursday and Friday at the convention were really good. Thursday, it seemed like there were a lot of people. And I think Thursday was probably the biggest day for people at the convention, because then on Friday, I work. I don't work at Madison Square Garden, but I basically work at Madison Square Garden. And I went to work on Friday morning, and there were literally like 20,000 people outside of Madison Square Garden waiting to get in, and they all had Comic-Con badges. Someone cosplayed. I was very confused. I was like, what are they doing? Well, it turns out that the bigger panels, like The Walking Dead, I think maybe that was where they did the Doctor Who panel. There were just a bunch of like really big panels that like a lot of people were going to go to, that they held at the auditorium in Madison Square Garden. So that was cool. It got a lot of people away from the Javits Center for a little bit, so it wasn't as congested, which was good if you were there just to, be at the regular con. If you're not a panel goer like me, it was kind of cool to have, that many less people to have to, like, weasel through. So that happened on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They had the panels at Madison Square Garden, and I really liked Thursday and Friday. I basically used those days to get all of the merchandise that I came there to get. I had some people that had given me a list of some stuff that I wanted. I was able to get everything that I went there for. I think this was like the first convention that I made a list. I got everything on it and everything was good. So some of the stuff that I got, I didn't get this until Saturday, but it's still something that I got. I'm going to read it and do a review on it once I finish it. This is a 4-issue mini-series comic. It is called Stabby Bunny, and I am so excited to read it. The guy explained it to me something like, I was going to get it regardless because I love rabbits and I love horror type comics. That's kind of what this is. So this girl has, I believe, a stuffed rabbit. So maybe this is going to be like me and Norton's story. I have no idea. I believe it's a stuffed rabbit that she gets, and he ends up killing people. in like protection of her, I believe. It's not like he's an evil serial killer rabbit. Like, he has a reason for his things. Like I said, I haven't read it yet. I just am sort of going by what I was told. I was gonna get it no matter what. So if you guys have read this, let me know what you think. Otherwise, I will definitely be doing a review of it once I finish all 4 issues. I'm so excited to read it. Hopefully today or tomorrow I'll be able to finally dig into it. So I got that. I went and got, my first thing that I wanted to get on my list was the limited Doom Patrol variant, which is this gold-backed, shiny comic, and it's so pretty, and I love it so much. So I got this. I got 2 of them, and then I got a Doom Patrol t-shirt as well, and it's just like the burrito in the center. It looks like the comic book cover that just has the sticker on it. So I got those. I was super excited about it, and because I got those, I was like, okay, like, now I have all 7 covers of it. I think I have enough. So I definitely got those. I was really excited about it. For other people, I got this at the Evil Inc. Comics booth for my friend Alex. He really wanted it, so I got that for him. For someone else, I got this Severed hardback comic graphic novel. And Scott Snyder wrote it. It's one of his first Image books. It's really good. This is my favorite work of Scott Snyder. It's something that no one else that I know has read. I picked it up whenever I went to San Diego Comic-Con a few years ago. I picked it up, I read it in the airport, and I really, really loved it. Everyone knows Scott Snyder from his works with American Vampire and Batman, and even like Witches and all of the other titles he's written, but no one really ever talks about this one, and this is my favorite one. Highly suggest going and reading it. It's a horror comic. I love it. He did leave it open to where he could write another one. I remember on the podcast that I was part of where we interviewed Scott Snyder, they were all asking questions about, you know, all of his other works, and I was like, I just want to talk about this one. So I did get to ask him a few questions about Severed. I believe he said that he definitely would like to revisit it someday and make more of them. I hope that happens eventually because I really loved this one, and it makes me so sad that, like, no one else that I know has really read it, so I can't discuss it. And for all the people that I know that love horror comics, like, seriously, go and read this. It's really good. I really like it. I got this one for someone, and it was at Scott Snyder's booth. It was pre-signed, so he signed it in this silver stuff here. The only thing that I kind of had a complaint about with that is that the people that were running his booth were sort of like typical sellers. Like, they just kind of wanted my money. They didn't care that, you know, I liked a book or that I didn't like a book. They just wanted my money, and, you know, they always tried to upsell me. Like, for an extra $10, I could get a sticker put on this book that says that it was a certificate of authenticity to say that this was definitely signed by Scott Snyder. And that's just not something I was into. If you bought some of the comics, they could instantly take them over to CGC for you. That's not something I was into. I don't think that Scott really had any control over that, but it's just not my thing, and it wasn't something that I wanted in my comic book shopping time. So that's the only disappointment that I had at that booth. I still didn't get to meet Scott. I still have never met Scott. I did a podcast with him, but, like, we weren't in the same room or anything. Eventually, I will actually meet him and talk to him face to face, but it hasn't happened yet. But I'm patient. It's no rush. It's whatever. The other stuff, I got this lovely print. It is a cosplayer that somebody drew it. I don't remember any of the names. I'm very sorry. I'm very bad at this. Someone just sent me a picture of this and said, hey, can you get this for me? And I got it. And I had all of the appropriate people sign it, take pictures with it, all of that. So this is the print. This is for my podcast partner, Spin. If he wants to comment who the artist is and the cosplayer, that's fine. I just don't remember. I'm bad with names. Even if I knew the name, like, unless I've met them and talked to them and had, like, a in-depth conversation for a very long time, or it's just, like, a repeat person in my life, I don't remember names. I'm terrible at it. So that's what I got for him. The rest of the stuff, I picked up this book, Claudio Sanchez, who wrote the Armory Wars stuff. He wrote Translucid. He wrote a bunch of stuff that I followed for a long time. He was one of the original people back in the day that got me back into comic books as a teenager. So I didn't have this one. It is Kid Crazy and the Kilowatt King. I haven't read it yet. I believe it is an all-ages book. It's sort of like his first children's book. He has kids now, and like most people who have kids, eventually they start writing children's books. So this is his go at that, I believe. I'm excited to read it regardless, and I might do a review on it. Let me know if you guys have read it, because I'm excited. And then, speaking of my Coheed and Cambria obsession, I got a pair of shorts. Like I said, I got this Coheed shirt from one of my friends. They announced that Coheed and Cambria comic, the next one is coming. The next Armory Wars comic is coming. There have been 2 out so far. The 3rd one is coming. I'm so excited. I got the sketchbooks for it, and it looks so good. I'm so excited. But I did pick up the deluxe album of the newest Coheed CD, which is The Color Before the Sun. It comes, this is a CD, it is not like a record. It comes with an art book and a lyric diary kind of thing that sort of, it has the lyrics, it explains like how they came to write it, all of that. And then in the back of this one, there is a CD and I believe a DVD. So it's a really cool little thing. I'm one of those that I prefer to own hard copies of CDs and things instead of just downloading it digitally, which is why I didn't get this until now, because I don't really ever see it in stores. So that is all the majority of the stuff that I got. I was able, on Saturday, after having a hard morning, on Saturday, I got to this convention at 7:15 in the morning because the DC booth required you to have a wristband to meet the different people that were doing signings. So certain people, like I think pretty much all of their talent were doing signings. Like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo were doing signings. They even had Tim Seeley doing a signing, which is so strange because I've met him so many times. Like I feel like me and him are almost on a first name basis probably. And like to have a wristband to go up to him when there was no one else going up to him, I didn't really like that. But just like all of the DC people that actually did signings at the booth, you couldn't just walk up to them no matter who they were. You had to have a wristband. So I wanted this short waiver wristband. He was only going to be there for 1 hour. And I've never met him before. It was always like my lifelong goal since 2003 to be able to meet this man. So I got there really early. And I got there and I went up to the DC booth and there was a guy there and I said, hey, like, is this where you stand in line for wristbands? Because I've learned from San Diego that just because it's at a booth doesn't mean that it's at the booth. And he was like, you know, I really am not sure. Like, if you go upstairs and ask the convention people, they'll know. So I went upstairs and asked the convention people. They did not know. And so I went on Twitter and I finally found my answer that yes, it was at the DC booth. So I went back there. There was another guy already standing there. So we were standing there, like we were all talking, we were all conversing. It was a great time. And then some of the DC people walked up and they were just like, you know, we hate to tell you guys this, but these wristband, like you guys are not eligible to get a wristband. They are for people, they're for, you know, people with regular badges only. And I had an exhibitor badge. So people with exhibitor badges, press badges, speaker badges, professional badges, basically any badge that was not just a standard like Saturday, 3-day, or 4-day badge, they were completely exempt. They were not allowed to be in the signing no matter what. Or get a wristband for anybody. Not just Gerard, but for anybody. So that was like the worst news almost that I've ever gotten in my life. I am not even gonna lie, like I broke down, I started crying. It was horrible, you know, like you've waited your whole life, you know, since 2003, your whole life since 2003 to meet somebody and to tell them, you know, I didn't care about the autograph. It's just literally to be able to meet him and to, you know, say even just 2 words to him or whatever, like to have that just taken away from you just because, you know, you have a certain wristband. I didn't like that at all. So I sort of lost it and I made some phone calls because some of the other exhibitors, even though they were exhibitors, they had regular badges also for whatever reason. So they were like, oh, well, we're fine because we still have this other badge. I didn't. I made some phone calls trying to see if there was anything that could be done, if anybody had a badge that I could borrow, and I couldn't really do anything. So the other people kind of really felt bad. You know, everyone was trying to resolve the situation. Everyone was trying to see if there's any way that I could get a wristband. And eventually the DC people came back and they were just like, this is, I think, the worst part of it for me is that they came back because more exhibitors would come. Like, it wasn't like they kept, like, they would come down and then just, like, everyone would be told, like, no one would know, and then the people would have to come back and, like, say again, like, you know, exhibitors are not allowed. So they came back down and said, hey guys, you know, you guys are not eligible, you're exhibitors, only real fans can get these wristbands. And I was just like, excuse me? Like, you're saying that I'm not a real fan. Like, me having a certain badge means that I'm not a fan of a comic book or a person. Like, that made me so angry. So angry to be told that I'm not a real fan because I have an exhibitor's badge. When in fact, one of my friends that is an exhibitor and goes to cons with us all the time, she was at New York Comic Con last year, and the people next to her rented out a booth. They were just like 4 or 5 regular guys. They rented out a booth at Comic Con because they wanted to go to Comic Con that bad and could not get a regular badge because they were all sold out. So they paid like $2,000 or $3,000 just to rent a booth to go to Comic Con. So they had exhibitor badges, and I'm just like, you're gonna tell them that they're not real fans? Like, they paid, like, whatever. So exhibitors were not allowed because on the basis of they're not real fans. And that is sort of just, I lost it. I was every emotion that you could possibly feel that day, I felt in like a 45-hour span. I was making all kinds of calls, texts, everything. So upset. I was, at this point, I didn't even know, like, what is my future going to be with DC Comics? Like, this comic company just insulted me, you know? I'm reading so many of their books right now. Every week I say, you know, Rebirth is killing it, and this is, you know, something that they just said to me. So finally, I had been standing there for about 45 minutes. The convention opened in, like, I think it was still like an hour before the con was supposed to open, and one of the guys from the convention came up to me, and he took me aside and he talked to me, and I'm not going to get into details about what happened. If you know me personally, you know what happened, and that's all that you need to know. I'm not going to get into it completely. I will say that I did end up meeting Gerard. I'm not going to go into how it happened and all of that because I don't want any issues. But I did end up meeting Gerard. It was the best. This was my wristband. They, like, put it on and then you had to cut it off after you met him. But I did meet him. I videotaped the entire thing because DC, once again, was very adamant. No pictures, no touching, no anything. So I videoed it. I'm like, hey, no one said anything about video. So I videoed it. It was amazing. Not only did I get to meet Gerard, but I got to meet the illustrator of Doom Patrol, Nick Darrington. I always want to call him like Deerling or something. So it is Darrington. So I got to meet him and the writer of the Shade Color Changing Girl comic, which I love. I thought it was awesome. They gave us these like young animal, sort of like informational booklets. It has like all the different, like a little preview of each young animal title, which there are 4. So she signed this for me. It was really good. I didn't know that she was going to be there, else I would have brought my Shade comic because I had it back at the booth that I was with. But I didn't have it at the signing because I didn't know that she was going to be there. But I met Gerard. It was magical. I got him to sign, he could only sign 3 things. So I got him to sign 3 of my Doom Patrol things. So he signed this one. Well, not that exact one. He signed this one along with Nick. They signed that one. They signed this. Well, yeah, both signed this one. And there's another one that they signed, and I don't know where it went. But 3 out of my 7 are signed now, so I was pretty excited about that. And it was definitely the highlight of the convention. All of the drama, all of the everything. It was such a dramatic experience, but at the end of the day, it was worth it. I got to meet, you know, someone that I've looked up to and who has helped me in my life personally for almost 15 years, and I feel like I owe him so much for that, and that was sort of in the letter that I wrote, was something that I tried to let him know, and I hope he promised that he was going to read it. I hope that he does, and even if he doesn't, it doesn't matter because just him meeting with me was the best. So definitely, if you go to the convention, be aware that just because you have, you know, a badge, if it's on a certain badge, you might be denied for things, which sucks. They didn't have, I mean, that's something that they should have posted online and stuff like that, so I knew what I was getting into from the beginning. But the good news is that after all of the drama of me being denied a badge, I went over to my favorite booth at the convention, the Blue Jays Comics booth, and they hooked me up with a bunch of stuff. I will be reading all of these. I will be reviewing them, all of that, telling you guys about them. I love these guys so much. So I have the second and third Accelerators trades. So the second, this is the third. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I love the Accelerators. And I'm so excited to read these. I actually learned that the writer lives semi-close to me, so maybe eventually I'll be able to like do an interview with him, or just, I don't know, some sort of collaboration in some way. So I'm really excited to read those. I love the books. I know I'm going to love them. And then I picked up this new one, which I am excited to read. It sounds really cool. I call it Ether and Empire. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It's one of those things that I should have asked at the time if it's correct. It looks like Ether, but it has like this, I've seen it before, but I don't know what the symbol's called. I'm sorry, I am uneducated with other languages and other things. Like, it's just not, in the Midwest, it's just not something that you get accustomed to. So I'm excited to read this, and I will do reviews on all of them whenever I'm done, as well as Stabby Bunny and probably the Coheed book, because why not? I still want to do a thing with Shade eventually. This was the booklet for this year. I have it, Walking Dead on the back. Let me just say that Walking Dead trailer that they released, which is actually not even a trailer, it's more just like a scene. I'm guessing it's going to be the very first scene that you see after they show whoever it is that met Lucille. So I'm excited for that. So excited. Love The Walking Dead. I was so excited for all the stuff that they announced at Comic-Con. It was a great time. I highly recommend everybody go to New York Comic-Con at least once in their life. And I also recommend that you go to San Diego at least once in your life. Because, and I think they're going to be sort of one and the same soon. Like, New York is expanding to all over the city just like San Diego does. So definitely go now while it's a little bit smaller, but it grows at least like 20,000 people each year. So definitely go and check it out. If you guys have any questions about New York Comic Con, whether it's how to get badges, you know, how to do the trip for as cheap as you can if you're traveling in, I will try and help you with all those things, because I feel like between me and all the people that I know, I can definitely find the resources that you need to help you best plan any trip to New York, whether it's for a con or just a vacation. So that's all that I will put in this video. I feel like there's so many more things that I could talk about, but it's already like a 22-minute video, and I don't expect anyone to sit through this. So I will see you guys next video. Bye!